Good evening and welcome to Gravitas. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay. Let's get started. Day 26, the war is intensifying. More bombs are raining on Ukrainian cities. Mariupol is under attack. Russia says surrender. Ukraine says no question of surrender. Kiev is also facing fire. What about the talks? No progress, says Moscow. Zelensky wants a meeting with Putin. Russia has kept him waiting so far. The NATO is meeting later this week. Biden is flying down to Europe, but don't expect fireworks. There will be more talk, more bluster for sure. Meanwhile, Germany is trying to strike oil deals with Qatar. China has thrown a googly, comparing the Quad with NATO. Beijing is playing hardball with Washington. Interestingly, it is also praising India. Chinese mouthpiece Global Times said India has a clear understanding of the international picture and its policy of strategic autonomy will serve its national interest and boost its international standing. Yesterday, Imran Khan, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, had praised India's independent foreign policy. Interesting times is all I'll say for the moment. On Gravitas tonight, we'll bring you all the developments, the statements and the repercussions, starting with a question. Is Russia turning Ukraine into Europe, Syria? Day 26 of the Ukraine invasion. Russia refuses to end the offensive. Ukraine remains defiant. The West remains in a bind. The result is this. More cities are being bombed. Streets are turning into graveyards. People are hiding in basements, waiting for death, they say. I know it sounds dramatic, but that's how things are at the moment. Let me show you something from Kharkiv. Some people were at the supermarket there, at a supermarket. They were shelled. These pictures are disturbing. We advise viewer discretion. Now look at this. Residents of Kherson took out a rally today, reportedly to protest against Russian forces. According to one claim, Russian troops were present there and they opened fire. Again, we advise viewer discretion. We cannot confirm the casualty numbers. Every day in Ukraine is like a nightmare on repeat. Nowhere is safe now. Take a look at this. This is Mariupol. People say the city is like hell on earth. There's been heavy fighting, intense bombing by Russian troops. Food supplies have run out. People are going hungry. The situation is so bad that, according to some reports, starving locals are killing stray dogs for food. When will all of this end? Russia gave an ultimatum to Ukraine today. Surrender Mariupol, it said. Do you know what the reply was? There is, quote-unquote, no question of surrender. Ukraine's Deputy Prime Minister issued a statement. Allow me to quote from what he said. There can be no talk of any surrenders, laying down of arms. We have already informed the Russian side about this. Instead of wasting time on 8 pages of letters, just open a humanitarian corridor. This is what Ukraine is saying. Russia has responded by intensifying attacks, especially on Kiev, the capital of Ukraine. Last night, a shopping mall was destroyed. Ukraine says the Russian army dropped a missile here. A security camera nearby captured the exact moment of the strike. At least 8 people died in this attack. Just look at these pictures. The entire shopping mall has been reduced to rubble. Everywhere there's smoke. An eyewitness captured this on his phone.
Of the attack which happened last night here in Kiev, just 15 minutes away from the center.
Can it get worse than this? Well, it can. There are reports of a chemical leak in northern Ukraine. Russian and Ukrainian forces are engaged in an intense battle here. A pipeline at a chemical plant was damaged by shelling. Ammonia leaked from these pipes. Now, ammonia, you would know, is a highly corrosive and toxic gas. It can be fatal for humans if ingested, inhaled, or absorbed through the skin. Observers are drawing parallels with Syria. They say the Russian forces operated in a similar fashion in Syria. Densely populated areas, especially urban centers, were bombed indiscriminately. Experts call this the Aleppo playbook. Is Russia using the same tactics in Ukraine? Looks like it. They're also said to be bringing fighters from Syria. This is a report from last week. Russia has drawn up a list of 40,000 fighters, 40. They are from 2 sources, the Syrian army and the armed militia groups, allied militia groups. Reports say Russia has set up registration offices in Syria. Moscow is recruiting foreign fighters for Ukraine, which means the Kremlin has every intention of extending this invasion. Russia is trying to put pressure on Ukraine from all sides. The Russian Navy has now joined the war. Russian warships are in the Black Sea. But they're bombing targets more than 900 kilometers away. An operation was conducted yesterday. Russian ships attacked a fuel depot in eastern Ukraine. Today, a Ukrainian military facility was bombed. The Russian military is bringing out the big weapons now. Even hypersonic missiles are said to have been used. What about the talks? The Kremlin today said there's been no significant progress.
The degree of progress at the talks is probably not as high as we would want to see it, and is not what the development of the situation requires for the Ukrainian party. The Russian side demonstrates much higher readiness to work quickly and meaningfully than the negotiators from the Ukrainian side.
What is Kiev's response? Volodymyr Zelensky wants to speak to Vladimir Putin, but Russia is not entertaining the request, so Zelensky continues to seek support from the West. Today he addressed European lawmakers. As always, it was a dramatic address. Zelensky played out the sound of air raid sirens. He wanted to make a point about how Ukraine is being bombed. Then he singled out Germany. He said Berlin should stop sponsoring Russia's military machine.
Do not be afraid. You will hear the sound with which we are living already for 25 days. This sound has become normal for all in our city. Please do not sponsor the military machine of Russia, nor give a single euro to occupiers. Close your ports for them. Do not import goods. Say no to Russian energy resources. Do everything for Russia to leave Ukrainian soil. I believe and I know that peace is possible, but you have to act to bring peace.
Zelensky knows how to make a point. The problem is, he's not figured out how to make progress. A key NATO meeting is scheduled for Thursday. US President Joe Biden is expected to join in person. We'll see how that plays out. And it's not just cities, we can tell you. According to Ukraine, Russia has human targets too. And top of that list of human targets is Volodymyr Zelensky himself. At first glance, it all makes sense. Zelensky has emerged as the hero of this war. He's rallying the people, meeting his soldiers, addressing foreign parliaments. Zelensky is all over the airwaves. If you take him out, the entire system may collapse. Zelensky himself admitted this. Here's what he said on February 25th, day 2 of Russia's invasion.
According to the information we have, the enemy has designated me as target number 1. My family is target number 2. They want to destroy Ukraine politically by destroying the head of state.
Such reports have been circulating all over social media. Shadowy assassins in Kiev, Chechen death squads near the presidential palace. All of this sounds dramatic. Take this report, for instance. It says Zelensky survived 3 assassination attempts in 1 week. That's 7 days, 3 attempts. How did Zelensky do that? Thanks to anti-war Russian spies, we are told. That's what Ukraine claims. These are Russian officials opposed to Putin's war, and they alerted Ukraine. And thanks to them, Zelensky was saved. Now, another assassination squad is being sent to Kiev, the Wagner Group. I'll give you some background first. What exactly is the Wagner Group? Officially, it does not even exist. There are no documents of their existence, no proof of their operations, but unofficially, the Wagner Group does the Kremlin's dirty work. It was founded in early 2014. It is commanded by a certain Dmitry Utkin. He is a veteran of both the Chechen wars, also the war in Donbass. Why did Utkin assemble this group? Chances are the Kremlin asked him to do this, which brings us to the man bankrolling these mercenaries, Yevgeny Prigozhin. Now, Prigozhin is a Russian oligarch close to the Kremlin. His nickname should tell you how close. Putin's chief, that's what they call him. Now, officially, Russia keeps denying all of these reports. Prigozhin says he has nothing to do with the mercenaries. But the blood trail does not lie. Wagner fighters have popped up in multiple war zones in Syria, Mozambique, Mali, the Sudan, even Ukraine since 2014. Why does Russia use these shadowy assassins? For plausible deniability. Russia is bound by the Geneva Convention, by the rules of war. The Wagner Group is not, because technically they don't even exist. So these mercenaries can do what Russia officially cannot. They can shoot civilians, they can attack non-military targets, they can even assassinate heads of state. Ukraine says all of this is already happening. They claim thousands of Wagner mercenaries have been deployed in Ukraine. A new group is apparently heading to Kiev, and their mission is to take out President Zelensky. Here's what Ukraine's intelligence agency is saying, and I'm quoting for you. Another group of militants linked to Yevgeny Prigozhin began arriving in Ukraine today. The main task of the criminals is to eliminate the top military and political leadership of Ukraine. The hit list includes top names: President Volodymyr Zelensky himself, Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal, and Andriy Yermak, Zelensky's chief advisor. If true, Russia's goal is quite clear: decapitate Ukraine's leadership, hope that the system crumbles around Zelensky. Having said that, this is a huge gamble. It could easily backfire on Russia. Just think about it. If Zelensky is killed, he becomes a martyr, an even bigger hero in Ukraine. Will that defeat public morale, or will it rally the entire country? Frankly, it's a 50-50. Zelensky is the most visible symbol of Ukraine's resistance. His death could galvanize the country even more. And don't forget the global reaction. Killing Zelensky would be indefensible. Even countries like China will find it hard to justify. So assassinating the president is a huge gamble. But Putin is certainly capable of it. Right now, though, it looks like a stretch. In fact, Zelensky is worth more to Russia alive than dead. If he agrees to a peace deal, if he signs off on a surrender, it will carry more legitimacy. The other scenarios could be a military nightmare, regime change or assassination. There will be political pushbacks there, military insurgencies, and that is something that Putin is keen to avoid. Plus, Ukraine is prepared for such a scenario. If Zelensky is assassinated, Ukraine does have a contingency plan. We do not have the specifics. We don't know who will succeed him, but there is a plan, we are told. So the chances of the entire Ukrainian system collapsing behind Zelensky are quite low. Which brings us to the obvious question. Where are these assassination reports coming from? Well, they could be Ukrainian propaganda, sort of like hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. Russia gets discredited, Zelensky gets more global sympathy. And Vladimir Putin knows all of this. The political implications, the military fallout. So conventional wisdom says he won't try an assassination. But knowing Putin, Conventional is not exactly his style, so we'll have to wait and see. Just look at the tools the Russian president is using to fight this war. Malwares, phishing attacks, computer worms. Russia has deployed a host of unconventional weapons to defeat Ukraine. It's fighting the battle in multiple domains and through multiple means. And so is Ukraine, to be fair. It is also using a host of tools and equipments to defend itself. Most of them have been supplied by NATO member nations. Our next report gets you the names and details of the weapons each side is using in this war.
They say any tool is a weapon if you hold it right. The conflict in Ukraine has redefined this adage. An array of weapons is being used in this war, from conventional tools like missiles, rockets and artillery, to unconventional instruments like malwares, phishing and computer worms. This battle is being fought in multiple domains and through multiple means. Here's a look at the equipments being used by both sides. We'll start with Russia. The most potent weapon in its arsenal is the Kalibr cruise missile. A precision weapon with a maximum range of 2,500 kilometers. In the last 4 weeks, Russia has launched numerous Kalibr missiles from the Black Sea. They reportedly hit targets in Kyiv, Kharkiv, Sumy, Poltava and Mariupol. These strikes came with a salvo of powerful rockets, fired from Soviet-era rocket launchers like the Grad, Smerch and Uragan. Reports say 1 battalion of each of these rocket launchers can deliver at least 720 missiles in a single volley. Russia is also said to be using cluster bombs, which can target enemy camps over a broad area. They consist of deadly munitions, which break into several bomblets that get dispersed over a wide area. One strike can apparently destroy an area as big as a football field. Besides these weapons, Moscow has also deployed a host of Sukhoi Su-57 fighter jets, MiL Mi-8 attack helicopters, Soviet-era T-72 battle tanks, and the lethal Kronstadt Orion drones. Russia is also waging this battle online. It unleashed the Data Wiper malware, which paralyzed state-run websites in Ukraine. Russian hackers are also carrying out phishing attacks aimed at stealing crucial information from Ukrainian databases. What about Ukraine? Which weapons is it using? Javelin missiles, supplied by the United States and Estonia. They're being used to destroy Russian tanks. Stinger air defense systems, supplied under a security package by Lithuania. They're being used to destroy Russian planes and helicopters. The NLAW anti-tank weapons, supplied by the UK, Germany, Norway and Sweden. They can destroy Russian tanks from above. An unspecified number of Starstreak anti-aircraft weapons have also arrived in Ukraine, regarded as the fastest short-range surface-to-air missiles. These weapons have laser-guided targeting systems, which can hit the enemy with precision. But the most important tool at Ukraine's disposal is the Bayraktar TB2 unmanned aerial vehicle, a Turkish-made drone which has hindered the movement of various Russian convoys. All of these weapons are lethal, but they're still in human control. So at the end of the day, their effectiveness depends on how motivated the soldiers using them are, not on how superior and advanced these weapons are.
The entire world is tracking the war in Ukraine. They see tragedy, they see needless violence, but not China. China looks at Ukraine and it sees opportunity. Their latest strategy is this: compare the Quad to NATO. Let me quote what Chinese officials are saying. Going against the trend to pursue the Indo-Pacific strategy, provoke trouble, put together closed and exclusive small circles or groups, and get the region off course toward fragmentation and bloc-based division is as dangerous as the NATO strategy of eastward expansion in Europe. Now, two things to note here. Number one, who made this comparison? Vice Foreign Minister Li Yucheng. He's a rising star in China. Earlier, he served as China's envoy to India, and rumor is he could be the next foreign minister of his country. Important point number two, how does this comparison help China? To answer that, we must look at Beijing's reaction to the war in Ukraine. China does not blame Putin for this war. It blames NATO's expansionism. Listen to this.
The key to solving the Ukraine crisis lies in the hands of the United States and NATO. We hope that the United States and NATO, as the culprits of the crisis, can reflect on their roles in the Ukraine crisis, take up their due responsibilities, and make practical actions to ease the situation and solve the problem in order to bring an early resolution to the conflict in Ukraine.
Let me recap China's logic for you. NATO expanded, Russia felt threatened, so Putin was justified in waging this war. That is how Beijing sees it. Remember, they have not condemned the invasion yet. Neither have they actually called it an invasion. So China's objective is quite clear. Step one, normalize what Putin is doing in Ukraine. And step two, use that template in the Indo-Pacific. That's where the Quad comes in. China needs an excuse for its expansionism in the Indo-Pacific. Putin has given them that excuse. So-called security concerns, that is the excuse. And who is causing those concerns? According to China, the Quad. Beijing says the Quad is doing in the Indo-Pacific what NATO is doing in Europe. And frankly, it does not make any sense. The Quad and NATO could not be more different. NATO is a military alliance. They have a collective security promise. Quad is anything but a military alliance. They talk about climate change, supply chains, vaccines, basically anything but defense. NATO also has clarity on its rival. During the Cold War, it was the Soviet Union. Now it is Russia. The Quad, on the other hand, is yet to even name China. As the Quad leaders keep saying, the Quad is not against anyone, it is for something. And this position has already created two political camps. One camp is happy with the status quo. They prefer ambiguity, basically chip away at China's economic power. The second camp is more radical. They want the Quad to name China, to undertake more military cooperation. Well, right or wrong, the Quad is stuck with the status quo. Their focus is firmly on the economy. Can't say the same about China, though. They're busy militarizing islands in the South China Sea. I'm talking about this cluster, Spratly Islands. It is a real estate claimed by China, the Philippines, Taiwan, Malaysia, Vietnam and Brunei. Many claimants, China is converting parts of this cluster into military bases. These three islands, to be precise, Mischief Reef, Subi Reef and Fiery Cross. All three have been heavily militarized. We're talking about anti-ship guns, anti-aircraft missiles, jamming equipment, radar systems, hangars, runways, basically full-fledged military bases. According to the Pentagon, the construction work is done. These islands can now serve as forward bases. They can shoot down jets. They can deploy bombers. In simple words, they extend China's sphere of influence. Is any of this legal? Of course it's not. But neither is Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which brings us back to the idea of normalizing wars. On Friday, Joe Biden warned against this. He spoke to Chinese President Xi Jinping, and Biden laid out two red lines. A, no military help for Russia. And B, don't use the Ukraine war to attack Taiwan. Now, on the second demand, on Taiwan, you can imagine the response. Conquering Taiwan is China's ultimate dream. There is no way Xi Jinping abandons it. On the first demand, the response was interesting. China says it is not arming Russia for now, but they've refused to rule out the possibility in the future. Now, all of this puts Biden in a tough spot. If he keeps pushing China, Xi Jinping may rethink his non-interference. If he cools off, it's advantage China in the Indo-Pacific. Either way, Beijing is playing the long game here. They're using Ukraine to establish a precedent. They're turning the Quad into a Pacific war machine. At the same time, they're making bases in the South China Sea. In Putin, the world faces a mercurial leader, mostly unpredictable. In Xi Jinping, the world faces a more calculated leader, different in style, but equally dangerous, make no mistake. Well, the Chinese president for the moment needs to worry about something else. The fatal crash of China Eastern Airlines flight MU5735. It happened this afternoon. The plane had 132 people on board. Rescuers have seen no signs of survivors. This is China's first major air crash in 12 years. A video of the final moments of this plane has gone viral. It is terrifying to watch. We advise viewer discretion.
These were the final moments of flight MU-5735. The plane is still in the skies, but it is falling and fast. The mere sight of the plane would tell anyone something is wrong. The aircraft was in a vertical nosedive. Then it crashed. This was the aftermath. The plane crashed into a hillside with 132 people on board. China's Eastern Airlines was operating this flight. The plane had departed from Kunming for Guangzhou. Crashed just 150 miles away from its destination. More than 600 emergency responders were dispatched to the site. They found the plane shattered into debris. What happened to flight MU-5735? There are no clear answers yet. Some initial findings have emerged from flight data. The plane was in the air for just over an hour. It was cruising at an altitude of close to 30,000 feet. But within a few minutes, the aircraft dropped to less than 10,000 feet. The fall of the aircraft was sharp. It lost more than 8,000 meters of altitude in just a few minutes. China Eastern Airlines has a good safety record. It is a state-owned airline. The plane itself was just 6 years old, a Boeing 737-800. It is one of the most common passenger planes in the world. This plane is an older version of the Boeing 737 MAX. The MAX was grounded for 2 years after 2 fatal crashes. But the 737-800 is still considered to be one of the safest planes. In terms of the weather, there are no obvious red flags. The skies were cloudy, but there was nothing to hamper the pilot's visibility. Chinese President Xi Jinping has ordered an investigation. For him, today's crash must be a reminder of a deadly past. In the 1990s and 2000s, Chinese airlines suffered a string of deadly crashes. In 1990, Xiamen Airlines Flight 8301 was hijacked. While landing, the aircraft crashed into another plane. A total of 128 people died. China's worst crash was this one. The China Northwest Airlines Flight 2303 in 1994. A Russian Tupolev Tu-154 disintegrated mid-air due to poor maintenance. All 160 people on board died. China's last fatal crash was in 2010, when a Henan Airlines jet crashed in northeastern China. 44 people had died in that crash. Today's crash is China's worst air disaster in 12 years. The investigators must explain these final moments of the MU-5735. Why did this aircraft nosedive like this? The victims and the world deserve an explanation.
Our next story is from Pakistan. Imran Khan is facing a revolt and possibly staring at an exit from power. The opposition is bringing a no-confidence vote. We've been telling you about this. Imran Khan is on thin ice. 24 lawmakers of his party are hiding. They've threatened to break away. They've threatened to vote against Imran Khan in the no-confidence vote. And this was as of Friday, 24 lawmakers. Today, that figure has grown to 26. 26 PTI rebels is what he has. The two latest deserters are Amir Talal Gopang and Afzal Khan Dhandla, both veterans who blame Imran Khan for failing to revive Pakistan's economy. Listen to this.
जब मैं ये देखता हूँ कि एक मजदूर जो 500 रुपया दिहाड़ी कमाता है और उसके बाद 500 रुपए किलो जाके घी लेता है, 150 रुपए किलो जाके चीनी खरीदता है, और उसके बाद जब मैं अपने काश्तकार को देखता हूं कि 2 बोरी खाद के लिए 3-3 दिन वो लाइन में लगता है और उसके बावजूद भी उसको खाद नहीं मिलती, तो मुझे ये बताया कि मुझे क्या फैसला करना चाहिए। इंशाअल्लाह ताला तहरीक अदम एतमाद वाले दिन मैं कौमी असम्बली में जरूर जाऊंगा और उसके बाद जो फैसला भी करूंगा अपनी अवाम की राय को मद्देनजर रखकर और अपने जमीर के मुताबिक फैसला करूंगा।
This exodus could just be the beginning. Reports in the Pakistani media say that in the next 4 days, many more big names are expected to leave the PTI for reasons both personal and political. The question is, what is the PTI doing to stop them? What any party does when it's losing. It has resorted to threats and bluster. PTI spokespersons are going on national television to warn the dissenters about consequences. Some are even getting personal and abusive.
नेशनल टेलीविजन पे आकर तू पहले दिखता है, बात करता है, फिर तू ये बात तो ये बात कर, अब यही लोग हैं। और आप उसके बाद प्राइम मिनिस्टर से रिजाइन मांगते हो। आप बेचने आए थे कैंसर की जाली दवाई पंजाब या नहीं? आप पहले जवाब दो। तो आप आए थे कैंसर की जाली दवाई बेचने के लिए, मेरे दफ्तर आए थे कि नहीं? मेरी मिन्नतें की थी कि नहीं थल्ले?
The frustration is evident, and it's not limited to spokespersons. The Prime Minister of Pakistan himself is blowing a fuse. He's letting off steam at public rallies. Listen to this. If you vote against him, no one in Pakistan will marry your children. That's what their Prime Minister said.
साथ वाला हमारा मुल्क है हिंदुस्तान। मैं आज हिंदुस्तान को दाद देता हूं। इन्होंने हमेशा आजाद फॉरेन पॉलिसी रखी। आज हिंदुस्तान उनके साथ मिला हुआ, उनका अलायंस है। क्वाड के अंदर अमेरिका का अलायंस की हुई है और अपने आप को वो कहता है मैं न्यूट्रल हूं। रूस से तेल मंगवा रहा है जबकि सैंक्शंस लगी हुई हैं।
Well, that too. He praised India and he spoke about the children of these deserters not being able to find a match in Pakistan. Speaking of which, Imran Khan's own marriage of convenience with the Pakistan army is also on the rocks. It is no longer a match made in heaven. We are not even sure if it's a match anymore, and I'll tell you why. The Pakistan army has refused to bail Imran Khan out. It has decided to stay neutral on the no confidence vote. And this is being seen as a gesture of support for the opposition, also a guarantee that Imran Khan is on his way out. Well, that's how a lot of people see this. In cricket-crazy Pakistan, the army is considered the third empire, an institution which controls the game not from the field of play, but from behind locked doors. So many in Pakistan believe the ongoing political turmoil is also the handiwork of the army. Imran Khan shares this belief, it seems. His efforts to reconcile with the military are proof. On Friday, he met the Pakistan Army Chief, General Qamar Javed Bajwa. It was an hour-long meeting. A last shot, you could say, at winning the army over, or at least finding some escape routes. Imran Khan is said to have failed at both. Reports say the army chief advised Imran Khan to step down. When? After an OIC meeting scheduled for Tuesday. Delegates from 57 Islamic countries will arrive in Islamabad within 24 hours. The army wants Imran Khan to host them and then offer his resignation from office. Well, that would be quite a send-off. But we don't know if these reports are true. This is all speculation after all. Imran Khan's actions, however, indicate that they could be true. There could be some merit in this speculation. There are whispers in Islamabad that he is planning to sack the army chief. Well, good luck with that. And replace him with a loyalist. It's a very risky proposition. Pakistani history is proof. In 1972, when Pakistan lost the war in Bangladesh, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto sacked the Pakistan army chief and replaced him with his aide, General Zia-ul Haq. Well, 5 years later, the same General Zia not only sent Bhutto packing, but also hanged him. Nawaz Sharif repeated this mistake. In 1998, he relieved General Jahangir Karamat from the chairmanship of Joint Chiefs. 1 year later, General Pervez Musharraf repaid the insult by toppling Nawaz Sharif from power and then forcing him into exile for a decade. So will Imran Khan meet the same fate? He might just. The premiership is a poison chalice in Pakistan. Since the country was founded, at least 18 people have served as prime minister. Not a single one of them has managed to complete a full term. Some have even been dethroned through coups. Some have been toppled through disqualification, and some have just been assassinated. With just a year left in Imran Khan's 5-year term and his worsening relationship with the army, his future seems uncertain. You could say he's already speaking like an opposition leader. This is what he said at the rally, what you just heard, praising India's independent foreign policy. I'll wrap with this.
साथ वाला हमारा मुल्क है हिंदुस्तान। मैं आज हिंदुस्तान को दाद देता हूं। इन्होंने हमेशा आजाद फॉरेन पॉलिसी रखी। आज हिंदुस्तान उनके साथ मिला हुआ, उनका अलायंस है। क्वाड के अंदर अमेरिका का अलायंस की हुई है और अपने आप को वो कहता है मैं न्यूट्रल हूं। रूस से तेल मंगवा रहा है जबकि सैंक्शंस लगी हुई हैं, क्योंकि हिंदुस्तान की पॉलिसी अपने लोगों की बेहतरी के लिए है।
Staying with South Asia, India will soon be hosting the Prime Minister of Israel, Naftali Bennett. He is expected to arrive in India on the 2nd of April. This will be his first official visit to the country. Our next report tells you what's expected.
I am delighted to pay my first official visit to India at the invitation of my friend, Prime Minister Modi. With this statement, Israel's Prime Minister Naftali Bennett announced his visit to India. Date of arrival, the 2nd of April. India and Israel are celebrating 30 years of diplomatic relations. Israel opened its embassy in New Delhi in February 1992. India opened its embassy in Tel Aviv 3 months later. Ties between the two countries grew under the radar. One of the biggest challenges before India was striking a balance act between Israel and Palestine. In 2017, India adopted a policy of dehyphenation. It decided that the relationship with Israel would be independent of New Delhi's ties with Palestine. Narendra Modi became the first Indian Prime Minister to visit Israel. The relationship between the two countries was upgraded to strategic partnership.
What a great day, historic day.
The next year, then Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited India. He said Israel's partnership with India was made in heaven. Reports say Netanyahu placed a framed photograph with himself and Prime Minister Modi in his Jerusalem office. India too has gone out of its historic path to show its support for Israel. In 2021, for example, India abstained from voting on a UNHRC resolution calling for a report on human rights situation in Palestine. Can Israel too showcase this neutrality in conflicts involving India and China? Israel has strong ties with both New Delhi and Beijing. Reports say Chinese companies in Israel are working on deals worth $20 billion. In 2017, Netanyahu visited China. He met Chinese President Xi Jinping. And while speaking about Israel-China relations, Netanyahu said, "I believe this is a marriage made in heaven." A year later, he uttered the same words in the context of India. But that's history now. Today, there is a new leader at the helm of Israel, and he comes with newer promises. Israel itself is currently better placed on the global map. It has formalized relations with the UAE, Bahrain, Sudan, and Morocco. India, too, is closer to West Asia than ever before. It's before this backdrop that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be shaking hands with Naftali Bennett. What will be on the agenda? The strengthening of cooperation, says Israel. Both countries trade goods worth $4.14 billion, excluding defense. India is Israel's 7th largest trade partner. So this will definitely be a part of the discussion. Prime Minister Modi and Bennett are also likely to talk about Ukraine. The two leaders met in Glasgow last October, and this will be their second in-person meeting. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Do you remember Boris Becker? If you're a tennis fan, I'm sure you do. Maybe you saw him play as a child, or maybe your parents were big fans. Either way, Boris Becker was a special athlete. He dominated men's tennis in the 1980s and 90s. The blonde hair, the rapid serves, all of it attracted millions of fans around the world. They called him Boom Boom. That's how fast he served. Boris Becker retired with 6 Grand Slam titles. 3 of them came at Wimbledon. His victory in 1985 made him the youngest men's champion. Back then, Becker was the king of London. 37 years later, things have changed. Today, Boris Becker is on trial in London. What are the charges? In 2017, Boris Becker was declared bankrupt. He owed money to a private banking firm in London. How much money? Around $14 million, 1-4. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. Put together, Boris Becker's debt was around $60 million. And to settle this debt, Becker had to sell off his trophies. He did auction some of them, but others he refused to hand over, like the 1985 Wimbledon Cup and the Australian Open trophies from 1991 and 1996. So now the court has intervened. Boris Becker is being accused of not handing over his trophies and, by extension, not settling the debt. If found guilty, he faces jail time. Frankly, all of this is hard to comprehend. Boris Becker had everything going for him: the fans, the glory, the money. In his prime, he raked in $60 million. So how did the boom boom go bust? The short answer is this: a problematic lifestyle. Boris Becker lost $25 million in a divorce settlement, $1.2 million in a paternity suit, and $2 million for tax evasion. His fiscal habits were much like his on-court habits: volatile, immature, reckless. Yet Boris Becker was not alone. Athletes falling from grace is becoming a common headline. For some athletes, it's the money. For others, it's the character. And in rare cases, it's both. All of us know Tiger Woods. He's one of the best golfers in history, yet his personal life is a disaster. Tiger Woods had affairs with more than a dozen women while married. Lance Armstrong, 6-time winner of Tour de France. In 2013, he admitted to using performance-enhancing drugs throughout his career. Overnight, he went from hero to zero. American footballer O.J. Simpson. He was tried for murdering his wife and friend. O.J. was eventually found not guilty, but his public standing never recovered. What do these examples tell you? That fame does not come easy. It's not just about becoming the best athlete. It's about becoming the best person. Unfortunately, these athletes could not do that. They fell for the trappings of fame. And I realize how hard it is for them. It is very lonely at the top of the pyramid. There is pressure to perform. There is pressure to show off. Suddenly, the world expects you to live in a certain way, maybe drive sports cars or zoom around in private jets. Some people fall for that. They disregard their finances. They spend more than they earn. For athletes, and this is especially dangerous, you don't have an endless career. You can't play till you're 60. Most professional athletes are done by their early 30s, which leaves them a small window to secure their future, to make enough money. Athletes like Boris Becker have failed to do that. Another lot fall for a different kind of trap: drugs. In their desperation to win, they abandon their principles, and that is unforgivable. You've let yourself down, you've let your sport down, and most importantly, the fans, the young kids who look up to you. And why just athletes? Take any job, any profession. The idea must be to uphold principles. If you do that, success will follow, they say. Boris Becker's fall from grace will trigger debates. Younger athletes will be more careful about their finances, or so we hope. Perhaps they will invest for their retirement. Having said that, we must focus on the root cause: a culture that puts perfection over values, performance over principles, and victories over teachings. And now for the final story of this evening, this Monday evening. It's the beginning of a new week, and every week comes with a new set of promises to self. Like starting this Monday, I will exercise 5 days a week. Starting this week, I will wake up on time, eat clean, drink enough water, perhaps go to bed on time or reduce screen time. We all make such resolutions, all of us. Sometimes these resolutions include promises to our skin, like skin care regimes, the kind you see on Instagram. Before going to bed, you're supposed to clean, tone, moisturize, apply 1001 layers of serum, then apply eye cream, face cream, neck cream, and so on and so forth. This is what we're told. Anti-aging creams are an integral part of this routine. I'm sure most of you have one on your nightstand or dressing table. Anti-aging cream promises to live up to its name. Every FMCG brand, every luxury brand has its own version of anti-aging cream. Some claim to have the perfect amount of retinol. Some lean on the magic of peptide. It's a huge market. The anti-aging cream market is worth more than $58 billion. And it's expected to reach more than $88 billion by 2026. Like I said, most of you surely have one of these creams at home. Now, what if I told you that these creams could kill you? I know it sounds like an exaggeration, but it's not. A group of experts recently tested 271 anti-aging and skin lightening creams. About half of them were contaminated with dangerous levels of mercury. What's mercury? It's a chemical element. Remember the silver ball in old school thermometers? That's mercury. It has a lot of uses, including in cosmetics. What mercury does is block the production of melanin, the pigment that colors your skin. It also removes freckles and blemishes. Basically, mercury is a favorite ingredient among makers of anti-aging and skin-lightening creams. Does that mean you can drown yourself in mercury? You cannot. This chemical is dangerous. Overexposure to mercury can damage your kidneys, even your nervous system. It can also trigger rashes. So countries have set legal limits on the usage of mercury in cosmetics. In the US, for instance, it is 1 part per million. The European Union has banned mercury from cosmetics altogether. What about India? India does not permit the use of mercury in cosmetics. Yet a 2014 study found mercury in 44% of fairness creams it tested in India. 44%. A new study has now been conducted by the Zero Mercury Working Group. It found mercury contamination in products sold across 16 countries. Most of these products were made by brands from Pakistan, Mexico, China and Thailand. Some had mercury levels as high as 65,000 parts per million. Which are these brands? Pakistani companies like Gori, Chandni, Aniza and Noor, a Thai brand called Kim, a Chinese brand called Giallo, Mexican brand La Tia Mana. Quick reminder, we're talking about contaminated anti-aging and skin lightening creams. Most of these products are sold online on platforms like Amazon, Alibaba, eBay. So many of us fall prey to them. We fall for promises of quick fix, fair skin, younger looking skin, cleaner skin. We come across targeted and appealing ads on social media platforms, and without a second thought, a lot of us buy these creams. Because let's face it, who doesn't want flawless skin? But life's not all that fair. There's genetic makeup, there's stress, hormonal imbalance and health problems, and all of these come together to ensure that we do not have that perfect skin on most days, which is absolutely fine. It should be fine. Also, as we age, our skin ages too. It's normal and nothing to be insecure or embarrassed about. You see, the moment you let wrinkles and blemishes get under your skin, the market will cash on your feeling. It will sell you terms like retinol, hydroxy acids, niacinamide, peptides, so on and so forth, without even telling you about their side effects. The market will sell you contaminated creams without telling you that these products can send you into a coma. So here's what you can do instead. Eat a balanced diet, say no to cigarettes and alcohol, exercise regularly, stay informed. Because there's only so much we can do to keep our skin healthy without harming it in the long run. Yes, that's a lot to pack in on a Monday. We're wrapping up the show, leaving you on Gravitas Images, with Gravitas Images rather. Thanks for watching.
تقدم على الطريق الله يسعدكم لو سمحتوا تقدم على الطريق